Hello, and welcome to Community Voices, where we talk to Humboldt County's movers and shakers. Today's guest, Ray Olson from Humboldt Outdoors. And now here's your host, Paul Bressoud.
Hello and welcome to Access Humboldt's Community Voices. My name is Paul Bressoud. I'm the host, and today, another star of Humboldt Access TV, Ray Olson, the creator of shows Humboldt Outdoors, and I'm going to try to do this right, Humboldt Yggdrasil.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good? That'll work? Mm-hmm. Well, let's go to Humboldt Outdoors first. How did that idea to create Humboldt Outdoors come to mind?
It's totally pandemic inspired.
Is that a new genre? Pandemic inspired?
I've run so many people that the pandemic made major shifts in their lives, and I'm one of them, you know.
So pandemic inspired.
Well, I'll tell you the story real quick.
Tell me. No, not real quick. We've got time. Tell me the story.
All right. So March 20th, 2020, it's about a little over 2 years ago, pandemic hit. All of a sudden, I had this packed schedule that went to nothing in my schedule. And so, I'm a real outdoor person naturally, so I use that time. I go, okay, great, I'll spend more time outdoors. So I started going outdoors, and I just developed a deeper love for this county outdoors than I had ever experienced before because I had the time. So it was around June or so, and I've been hiking, fishing, and I was feeling great. And anyway, I knew a lot of people were feeling depression and, the closures, the social distancing. I read on the Center for Disease Control site, they said one of the things they recommend is people spend time in outdoors. So I said, yeah, I can relate to that. I'm feeling great. So anyway, it clicked. I said, you know what? I'm going to contribute, rather than me just out having fun outdoors, I am going to contribute by creating a show for community access television or YouTube or whatever that will help inspire people to get outdoors for their own mental well-being.
And you're a member of Access Humboldt, so did you think of Access Humboldt as the natural vehicle to go ahead and put these programs on?
I didn't really know. I knew there was YouTube and other venues, and I knew about Access Humboldt. So it evolved quickly into broadcast. I contacted Matt Knight here, and I was encouraged, if you produce programming, we'll play it. So I said, all right, I could do that. I had never filmed or edited before, so I was really? Yeah, I'd never
That's true? I mean, that doesn't seem like that at all. These are your first ventures in filming and editing?
Well, I have been on camera in independent productions. I've been on camera before, but I've never operated a camera. I knew nothing about editing. So I am self-taught and all that stuff. So anyway, getting back to Access Humboldt, so I started producing. Access Humboldt said, yeah, we like your programming, so... that was 2 years ago, so I keep producing it. It's appreciated, apparently, in the community, so that's...
So before you film, and before you edit, I mean, you have to come up with an idea.
Yes.
And you have to come up with, beyond the idea, I mean, there's levels of that idea. There's the idea, there's places, and then you have collaborators that come on, local people that, musicians and whatnot. So how do you organize all of that?
All right, the first thing is I got to find an idea that grabs me, because if I don't, you're right, I spend a lot of time on these, and the phases are exactly like you said. I have to do tons of research. I call people, I find locations, and then, that's even before I get to the filming. So it's got to be an idea that sustains me, because I don't want to be 2 or 3 weeks into multiple filmings and everything else, and all of a sudden, I'm bored with this. So I have to sort of wait for something to really grip me. And it's like, God, I want to learn more about that myself. And that's basically how the show's the genesis of the ideas of the shows. And so far, it's pretty well paid off that I found shows that get me to and motivate me to want to spend all the time it takes to make each episode.
Well, I read about, the first episode of the Humboldt Outdoors. What's that? The Milell Dunes?
The Milell Dunes.
Milell Dunes.
Yeah.
And then that's a favorite place of mine to go walking around.
Me too.
So how long did that take? And then how did you think about formatting that? I mean, now you've chosen the place, you've done the research. What happens now?
Well, Milell, I'm like you. I had spent lots of time in Milell, so I started there and I started filming. So that one didn't require as much research because I already knew a lot of the natural history. So that one was, I had a lot of the knowledge. So I just had to think of how I was going to script. I actually write a whole script out.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
and is that writing a script for what you're going to say, or do you go ahead and kind of, for lack of a better term, kind of outline the shots you want?
Yeah, both. I mean, I do script out. I don't memorize. I sort of know the information I want to cover, and then I'll film it from different angles so that I can piece it together. But the storyline, I do spend a lot. I spend a lot of time thinking before I even take a camera out and start filming. And the other thing I want to point out is these shows end up taking on a whole life of their own. You know, I might go in there with sort of preconceived idea, but ultimately, that's part of the adventure of filming these shows, man. It's like I did the Lolita Tunnel with Barry Evans. I thought, it'd be a fun little, mile hike to see this tunnel that I'd never been to before. It turned into this wild adventure. We're out there. Barry goes, wow, the trail's practically gone. We almost got lost. and then we come out and one whole part of the trail's completely washed out. And then I get into the tunnel I'd never been in. It's spooky, and then there's water. It's flooded. So I recorded all that as part of the show that I thought I had kind of scripted out, turned into a totally different show about all these wild, adventurous things that occurred on the show. So that's what's fun about the show.
Now, are you doing all the filming?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you're in the as well. So you must set it up and do a shot, or you take some as you go.
Yeah.
Now, do you, when I say set up a shot, do you practice that shot and look at that shot and think what you're going to be like in it? You have somebody else stand there and think, okay, that'll work? You're director, you're the cinematographer, you're everything.
Yeah, I like to make a shot with, it is Humboldt Outdoors, and the feature really is on outdoors. So I try to minimize the time of people and faces in the shot. So if I do have someone on camera, for the most part, not always, I try to make a really nice, what I find visually appealing about the background. So some kind of a nature scene, so I can show off some of this. Because remember, the whole goal of this, and I keep this in mind every time, is try to inspire people who are watching. Wow, that looks like a really cool hike, man. I should go out there and spend some time out there. So I always keep that in mind every time I do this. Or, wow, what fascinating history. There's old ruins of a lighthouse there in the Samoa Dunes with bricks and everything. Wow, I should go out there and check that out. So yeah, I do carefully set up the shots. And the other thing on shots is when I interview somebody like Barry Evans that I was mentioning, and this gets tedious sometimes for people to interview, not for me, because I do three or three different angles. Right. Like I'll have them do their spiel there, and then another one, and the same for me. So that way, when you edit, because I hate jump cuts. Jump cuts are so distracting.
Explain a jump cut.
A jump cut is where I'm talking like this. Well, we're here at Millennial Dunes. All of a sudden, I jump and I say, and it's quite a nice place to come to, because I edited from there. So I either by filming from different angles, and I just watch tons of YouTube videos to figure all this stuff out. Then I could edit it together so it looks like one narrative where I'm talking about some natural history thing, and it looks like a 3-camera shoot, and it's more appealing to the viewer.
Are you a person that used to watch old movies, or watch movies as far as the cuts, the cinematography of it all, the way the scenes are set up?
Well, I have to say I had spent a lot of time being talent on camera. I used to host community access television programs for environmental programs, not in this one, a different one. So I had experience. I never worked at camp. They always hired people. So I knew, I had watched how they had done that, and I used to do that. They'd film me, and it'd be several different angles. So I kind of knew some of the ropes already. I just didn't know how to work a camera, and I didn't know how to edit, which I thought that was a huge learning hurdle to overcome, and that's why I never went there. Mm-hmm. But I would encourage anybody. It's not that hard. You just have to. There's YouTube videos. There's simple equipment. I started this whole thing with the Access Humboldt has all kinds of wonderful equipment. The really low cost.
And as a member, you have access to it.
Yeah. So I think I'm an example. If I can do it, and anybody wants to put in a little extra time, they can do it too. It's just you just have to.
I always thought editing is so important to everything I watch.
Yeah.
A good editor can make or break anything that you're...
Well, and you only get good at editing by doing it. I look at my old programs like, oh my God, that's horrible, But I've been doing that. I have 35 Humboldt Outdoor episodes I've done over 2 years. And, every time they get a little smoother and smoother and smoother. That's the only way the only way to get this stuff is once you're in the base, you just go out there and do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So 35 episodes. Does that mean 35 trips to these places to kind of, let me give you an example. Okay, you took the boat ride from the fish hatchery to the bridge in Blue
Lake. The raft, yeah.
Right.
The raft.
Okay, the raft ride.
Yeah,
okay.
Fine, yeah.
Did you go on that trip beforehand to think about how it was going to be?
Oh, that one was just kind of a fun summer one. I've done that trip many times. And that one, I just took a GoPro camera and filmed it. I didn't have all my good equipment. So that one was just kind of I call that Humboldt Outdoors light. That wasn't my real, like the Jack London one, that was, real involved research. But yeah, I knew that stretch. I go on there every year with friends. That's just an easy.
So talk about why the Jack London one was such
the Jack London one, that's a great example. I read, I'm a member of Humboldt Historical Society, and I read just a few months ago, Jack London came through Humboldt County. Wow. He stayed in Fortuna. He went to see the bridge being built on Fern Bridge, and he's spending time in Eureka. And I thought, that's what I like it is that fascinating historical story. And I was a big fan of Jack London's. It also has a lot of outdoor scenes that I can cover. Mm-hmm. I can, at the Fern Bridge, the walking around Old Town Eureka. It had a lot of that connection. So anyway, as far as how much I have to film, that one. Usually on those, more of a full Humboldt Outdoors, it's not just one day of filming, it's multiple days. And sometimes I'll go out and film. There's somebody working a chainsaw. Oh, well, I can't film here, so I come back another day. Or I'll, there's all, as you know, audio you can't film when the audio's bad. So, on that one, I might go out 15, 20 times.
Wow.
Yeah, from all different areas. Fern Bridge, Fortuna was probably.
So what do the hours look like in a program like that, the Jack London program?
That was a 14-minute video. I probably spent 14 hours of filming, maybe. I'd say an hour or two of filming for every minute, and then probably editing is a whole other process. I'm estimating 2 hours of editing for every minute of finished show. So for a 14-minute show, it'd be 24 or 30 hours of film. Oh, no, I'm sorry, double that. It'd be, 24 or 30 hours of film editing. But none of it is a chore for me.
No.
I'm at a stage in my life, I can do whatever I want. I'm not getting paid for this. And I love
Nor am
it.
I.
Yeah, I know. That's great. That's power to me. I got to say, man, you're
well, I'm taking it back. I got some tacos for lunch. But
I don't get any tacos.
Exactly. I've blown Matt's cover.
But anyway, it's a service. You're doing a service. We're doing a community service. Local programming. I'm a huge fan of community access television. Always have been. And so it just feels good to be helping to contribute to that.
Okay, so now you're making the videos.
Yeah.
And I read the article. And you figure you got to spice them up.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, is that the start of Humboldt Yggdrasil?
Well, okay. Yeah, you want me? Okay.
I want the story.
Okay, the story is this. To do a real serious Humboldt Outdoors, I got to wait for some idea to come and grab me, and that just doesn't come along. I mean, believe me, there's so many different things to film, but I got to find something that really grips me. Like the one, well, I won't tell you. So in between, I film fun stuff with neighbors that are not so informative. They're more playful. And that's what Yggdrasil is. And I film it with my neighbors, and I get to edit with special effects stuff that I normally can't do. And my brother films. He lives locally. He's also a member of Access Humboldt. We filmed a little science fiction one that was kind of silly, and they played it during Sci-Fi Night at the Arcada Theater.
Oh, that's
Lounge.
great.
So those are kind of in between fun things, in between the sort of hard, different, more intellectual work of a Humboldt Outdoors. So those are just fun things.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So you're talking about these are things that just keep you creatively going.
Yes.
But I mean, is there something on the back burner right now that you're thinking of? I mean, or are you trying to look for an idea right now? How do you go ahead and find those ideas?
That's the other piece too. I know I do have some ideas. Like I'll tell you one right now. There's a guy named Rowdy Kelly. I've never talked to him. You know what his job is? There was an article about him. He goes out and he scouts out outdoor locations for these big movie shoots.
I think I have read an article.
Yeah, he did. I can't remember the movies, but big time movies. And
didn't they film the part of the Star Wars up here
with him? I don't know if he scouted that, but like Will Smith did Earth. So I thought that would be a really fun adventure show, man.
Yeah.
Go out with Rowdy Kelly and say, Rowdy, how did you go out there with him, and when he scouted out the location outdoors, and what did you do? How did you pick this site? And then again, see, it's a perfect fit. It's outdoors, and I could show off some nice outdoor areas, but here a really adventurous story. So that's. I guess I'm kind of on a summer break right now. I'm doing some fun stuff with my brother that's non-informative. So, but see that. I can pretty much do whatever I want, and I know that eventually I always go back to the Humboldt Outdoors because those are the most meaningful to me, because I learn so much in those. I get to meet the most interesting people, man. I mean, like Jack London, I got to talk with premier local historians. Barry Evans. I've been reading Barry Evans in the North Coast Journal for years. So when I read his article about the Lolita Tunnel, I called him and talked to him, and I said, hey, Barry, So I got a personalized tour of the Lolita Tunnel by Barry Evans. So, I love that part of this.
So you're sitting there.
Yeah.
You're reading the North Coast Journal.
Yeah.
You read the article by Barry Evans.
Yeah.
And that's what it took. That's the inspiration.
Yeah.
That's the spark right there.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Doc Stoll is another one. I don't know if you know Doc Stoll.
Sure I do.
He's like the only cane spinner in Humboldt County. So I called Doc and I said, hey, Doc, you want to do a show? Yeah, sure. So I got to spend a whole half day with Doc Stoll.
He's a Jack London enthusiast, too.
Well, we never even talked about Jack London.
Really?
We were talking about cane spinning, and I had a blast with him. We filmed a fun little cane spinning video in Trinidad. And then I talked about the trail, the trail information. So I have a lot of these shows for me, the Humboldt Outdoors. I learn a lot. I see the areas in new. You're talking about Malel. I had spent a lot of time in Malel before I filmed, but I did not see Malel in the way I saw it until I filmed there. When I filmed it, it took on such a deeper, richer magnitude.
Has that happened to other places that you visited before?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I film a lot in the Arcata Forest because when you start filming, you're looking for, wow, where's a neat back? Wow, that really is beautiful. Look at the lighting there. You start looking deeper into the forest. You start looking at the lighting. You start looking for areas like where would be a great place to have the ferry. My wife sometimes plays a little ferry. Where would the ferry? Oh God, I've walked by this a million times. So, it does open up a whole new dimension for me in these areas that I love in northern Humboldt County.
Were you originally from Humboldt County?
My family has lifelong connections to Humboldt County, so I've been coming up to this area since I was a little kid. My brother still lives locally. But after I graduated from Humboldt State University, oh man, I could not find a job in my career, environmental management. So I had to leave the area. I lived here in the 80s when I was going to school, but I'd come here all the time. I worked all over the state, and then 7 years ago, I was able to retire from a 30-year career in environmental, natural resource sciences for local governments, and so now I don't have to leave anymore. So,
and that's when you moved back.
Yeah, I've been coming to this area since. I've always considered this to be home. This area,
and then a lot of these places that you chosen. So you've just returned full-time 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Have these always been kind of on a list to go see? Or, as you said, I mean, I hear where you get the instant inspiration from an article or something, but are there places that you actually look at and you say, yeah, I want to go see that?
Yeah, that happens a lot. It actually motivates me to go out and explore more places because I started out with places I was real familiar with, but I've started to have, after about a year, I started to have a lot more fun going out to places I'd never been to before. And as I meet people, like Julie Clark is a local ranger, all these years here, I'd never been up to Falk. Mm-hmm. So I went up to Falk. I never knew there were 3 covered bridges in Humboldt County. So I did a whole show on covered bridges. So for me, it's getting to be more and more things, places, and experiences that I haven't experienced myself. Another great example, Julie Clark. I did the Falk with her, and then she said, "Ray, you know where the oldest lighthouse?" I've asked locals here. Nobody knows where the oldest lighthouse is. It's in Samoa, and the ruins are there. It was built in 1854. The ruins are still there. So I got to spend a couple days with Julie out there at the ruins of Humboldt County's first lighthouse. So yeah, it's kind of evolving into more of an opportunity for me to get out and experience adventures and experiences that I really haven't as much before.
What kind of feedback are you getting from folks? Are people connecting with you and saying, "Wow, I didn't know that was there. I'm going out and seeing those kind of things more"? Or
I don't get that much feedback. I have friends and neighbors say, "Hey, I like your show." I tell you, I actually brought. I really don't get much. Matt and Jerusha said they like the show, so that's good.
Right.
I'm glad to hear Access Humboldt likes them. So
right, they keep having me back. I guess.
Yeah, right. So that's inspiring. But yeah, mostly friends and neighbors. But other than that, I mean, every once in a while I'll be around town. "Oh, I saw your show. I like it. Great."
What about some of the rangers that you deal with? I mean, did they say, "Hey, more people have come here in the last year because of that"?
I really haven't had that. But I figure if it's just several people. I have had neighbors that say, "Wow, Ray, I saw your show about the lighthouse. I didn't know there was a lighthouse. I'm going to go out there and check it out." Great, that's why I make the shows.
Right, exactly.
For you to go out there and spend some time outdoors, because now anybody spends more time outdoors and in this incredible area. I mean, come on, man, that's Humboldt County.
Right.
This is like the envy of the world around here. They always come back a better person. They treat other people better, more smiles on their face, and that's good for all of us. So.
Fantastic. Did you watch travel shows when you were a kid growing up, or travel movies, adventure movies after that?
Well, I grew up in in Crescent City. We used to spend the summers in a cabin, so I was a real outdoorsy kind of kid. We used to go camping a lot, and so back then we didn't have much TV. So I can't really call. I think Mutual Omaha's.
Right, I remember that one. Exactly. Right.
Yeah, I used to dig that.
Guy running around with no shoes on.
It was probably all totally fabricated scenes,
Right.
But no, I grew up a lot of time in outdoors. My dad was an outdoorsman, and I've always felt that connection to nature. And it does. Anytime I'm feeling low or depressed, I just spend time outdoors. And every time, it just ups my mood.
So 35 episodes
of Humboldt Outdoors
completed of Humboldt Outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
Is there 35 more? Is there an infinite number? Is there? I mean, do you? You sound as enthused as anybody that's ever been on the program about anything. I mean, is it all out there still?
Well, I'm continually evolving. I do continue to evolve. So where I'm kind of moving next, I've been working with this drone guy who's 20-something years old, and he's given me some interesting input, Jake Stoll, about my show. So I'm kind of thinking, so anyway, what I've cut to the chase here. I'm thinking of trying to collaborate a little bit with students at Cal Poly Humboldt this fall, and doing some work with them. I've talked to a professor of journalism, somehow combining some shows and trying to get a little bit of that different generational influence maybe into the shows, just as a learning experience for me. Because I know, we all are culturally we all have cultural influences. You and I do for a certain generation, and a 20-year-old has different cultural influences. So I want to try to strive for hearing some interesting cultural influences from different generations. So I'm going to be kind of trying that out this fall to see if it works.
Storylines connected to the outdoors?
Yeah, I don't know. It's not real clear. I've already talked to a professor of journalism there, but I think the idea would be to work with students on this kind of happened when I did a show out on the campus about a guy who carved some sculptures in the Arcata Forest. And I thought there's a lot of interesting outdoor things on the campus. Like there's the Chinese, they call them the Chinese redwoods, and some really interesting things on campus that are outdoor related. So I don't know. I don't have anything for certain on that, and it may not work out, and then I'll just keep. But I think even if I didn't do that, I just finished Jack London as a big Humboldt Outdoor. I had a blast. I had a great time. So when whether it's with that thing I was saying with Rowdy Kelly, I haven't talked to him or whatever it is, I'm sure I'll be enthused and we'll enjoy it.
Right on. Well, Access Humboldt is that much richer for it as our Humboldt County inhabitants who see that and get to go out and do it. And what a great way to start it. I very much admire your original the premise behind getting people out and keeping them mentally healthy during the pandemic. That's an amazing story. Ray Olson, thank you, man, for coming by. And I'd like to thank Ray, my guest, for being here. But he is here on Access Humboldt, so you can see his shows, which are Humboldt Outdoors, and I have to look again, or maybe you should say it, Yggdrasil?
Yggdrasil is just one of my
Yggdrasil
outdoor shows. Yeah.
That's all the time we have today. Thanks for watching Community Voices. I'm your host, Paul Bressoud, and we'll see you next time.